the garage here, installing this MX5Things rooftop controller onto this 2021 GT RF. This roof controller is made for the RF, and it adds some additional features. One-touch operation of the button. You don't have to hold it. It also allows you to reverse the orientation of the button. So if you think up should be closed and down should be open, that's what you can set that in there. You can also change the speed, maximum speed, which is from the factory. I think it's limited to 10 kilometers an hour. This you can go up to 30 miles an hour. You can set that in the software. You can also set an option that doesn't work unless you have an additional controller from MX5Things called the ignition controller, but that's on the way, and I'm going to install that next. So when that happens, I'm going to be able to operate the top with the remote control. So like 3 buttons for unlock will open wake up the car and open the top, and the opposite would be true for lock. So that's what we're doing today, and I'm just going to walk you through because I noticed that there really wasn't any walkthroughs on the internet about this. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is open the top. Some Goodwin Racing exhaust. So open the top. Notice how I have to hold this down the whole time. And that's good. All right, now you've got the top off. I think that gives us a little extra room. So we're just gonna open the back seat as wide as it goes and move the seat forward as far as it goes to open up this back space here. You know, I think I'm gonna leave the seat belt there for now. We'll see. But this is where sort of the action's gonna happen. I think right back behind that panel, which is right there. Okay, so per the instructions, the next thing I'm gonna do is pop the hood and disconnect the negative battery terminal. So the battery terminal is going to be right there. Pop, negative battery terminal. That's positive, negative. We're going to just disconnect that. Looks like this is going to be a 10 millimeter. And we're just going to loosen that up a little. Just comes off nice and easy. The next thing that we're going to do is take off this door sill. And this door sill comes off pretty easy. Just sort of grab it with both hands. Pull. Next step, we need to remove 4 of these little trim pieces. This is 1 here, sort of on the door jamb. 2 is, or actually 1 if we're numbering them. Yeah, no, I said it right. 1, 2, 3. This little guy's new. It's not in the instructions. If you look, there is no bottom one there, but that's okay. They just need to update their picture. Maybe I'll send them a new picture. And then the last one's going to be this one. So instead of 4, it's actually going to be 5 on a 2021. I imagine this is maybe something that came later. So all of these kind of work the same way. They have a center piece that sort of holds. I'm going to screw it up. Just get a screwdriver or something like that in there. Sort of pop it forward, and you see how as soon as that popped out, it sort of came loose. And now this piece is loose too. So you can just pop that out with the fork end of your thing. Once that's it, and it just comes right out. So the next step is we're going to be removing this piece here. This kind of like pulls this lock out of place here. Everything else kind of came out pretty quick, but just pay attention to these little clips here and here, because those clips are going to be attached to these little inner tabs whenever you put the car back together. So I think now that this is out, I think this should just pull right out. Let's see. Look. Beautiful. So the next order of business is to peel this piece back. I'm pretty sure this isn't how Mazda Tech would do it, but that's okay. We've got to get up into there a little bit and do some work. So I think this is the best alternative. So what they suggest is using a bungee cord to pull this back. And you see, that's sort of exactly what I'm doing. I'm trying not to put a lot of pressure on it. I did find pushing on the middle helps. But I want you to look at this. Like, I just have a bungee that's wrapped around the steering wheel. The next bolt we're taking off, I'm going to zoom out just so you can kind of see where we're at. The next bolt we're taking off is that guy right there. It's sort of behind this little metal, or holding on this metal piece here. You definitely see the rear having a tool like this. This job versus a socket, it'd be pretty tight. I think that's loose enough. I can finish the rest by hand. I'm supposed to, now that that's off, I'm supposed to lift this off the bolt and slide this out of the way. I think I can just kind of flip this up underneath it, and that's the money shot right there. The two plugs that we're concerned about are right in the back here. You can't see one. Oh, there it is over here. So it's sort of back there. That's the white one, and then this blue one here, which is right there. This metal piece right there, I found it's much easier to just stuff up there. Like, that fits way better than trying to spin it in this space like the instructions say. Don't do that, just stuff it up in there. It takes a half a second. Then I add super access to this. You can pull these right out. All right, so this is the actual roof controller here. You can see it's sort of got a connector on each end, a male on this side, oops, female on this side. So these connectors that are in here that I just pulled out, those are both male connectors, so they're gonna go into these, and then I'm gonna replace them with these. You can't really mix them up. It looks to me like the short one is blue and the long one is white, but there's no way to accidentally plug these in wrong. So, all right, let me do that, and then I'll plug these back into the harness up there. And then we just gotta find some way to sort of store this box, because it has a little sticky thing on there. Okay, so just make sure to push those in enough so they latch. They do have like a latching mechanism right there, and so make sure that that's engaged when you put those in there. And then the other end of this is just going to be these guys, which are going to go back into those holes. Okay, so I've basically just kind of routed this cable that way down into the sort of hole right there, because it adds a little length to the cables, and there's no really place for them to go. But I think once I kind of push it back into that area, I think it'll be okay. I'll bring this down. Check out how crafty they are. To mount this box, take the Velcro off, and give attention to the carpet that's in here. Like that. Maybe a little further in. That's the beauty of Velcro. Stick it in there. It is going nowhere. I like this angle too. Because it keeps it out of the way of the cords, but it also keeps this port facing this way, because it's this other cable. And what we're going to do is we're going to wrap that underneath some stuff here, so that sort of hangs out back here, just kind of dangles. And then if we ever want to change the function of this module, we don't have to tear all this open. We can just hook up to the USB port to our laptop and reconfigure it to whatever we want. Pretty cool. All right, so I'm gonna plug this in, and then plug it in this end, and then I'm gonna start putting things back together. I gotta bring that thing down first and flip that. Bring this down and flip that cover first, and then remount the screw. Should be pretty straightforward. All right, now assembly is just the opposite of disassembly. So once we get everything kind of slid back into place, I'm just gonna put that on there. And I don't have a torque wrench on this. I'm just gonna kind of guess about where it was before, and it was pretty snug before, so I'll just pressure my hand or put that on there. It doesn't jiggle loose. Be careful when you're putting that in there, because I had to sort of rearrange some of the wires to make sure that there was plenty of room for this. I don't even know what this is, but it obviously some sort of cable routing for something. I don't know what this little thing does, but it was kind of binding, and I really had to sort of shove that up underneath there to get it out of the way. So just be careful you don't interfere with any of the cables. So let me show you what I did here. It's not super fancy or anything. I just right there where the cable comes out, if you notice right there, I put a little piece of that sort of nano tape or Gorilla tape, mounting tape. That stuff's rock solid, and that should deaden any of the vibrations and kill any of the sort of accidental pulls or anything like that for a while. It's not as good as zip tie up there, but it also won't twist on that little micro USB port at all. I may put a zip tie elsewhere, but I don't think I need to, because frankly this just sort of drapes underneath here. There's nothing really holding it on there. I'm gonna put another piece of tape, I think, right there, and then that just dangles out the bottom of that right there. So I think, and then that will just sort of hang out there until such time as I need it. I can just pull it out. Just pull it out here, make my adjustment, stuff it back underneath there. Before we button this all up, we should retest it. So I'm just gonna hook this back up and hook my battery back up, Okay, next step is to test it. So this should be 1.5 seconds to close it. And look, it's doing it. It's pretty awesome. And I did not reverse this because it didn't bother me as much as some people, but you can reverse this. Another nice thing is you can actually operate this while in reverse. So let's test that out. Put it in reverse. In reverse, this shouldn't work. But let's see if it does. It does. Very nice. Alright, so replacing this trim piece is interesting. So there's a little, I don't know if you can see that, a little sort of a feeler that's feeling for that groove right there. And you have to also go under this piece of plastic and that piece of plastic. Everything else just kind of snaps into place. There's no other real mysteries to this, but if you don't have that little guy in the groove in there when you start, it sometimes can be a little tricky to find him. And make sure that that back one's in, or else you'll get everything in there just right, and then it won't be right. So now if it's in there, you'll feel a little pop in the middle right there, and that's that stabby one going into that. And then I'm just gonna sort of massage these into there, I think. I just need to get a grip on these metal side pieces here. There's one that just went right in. I just slid right in, thank you. There's the second one. All right, and now this all should just sort of look like it's lined up right now. Good. And now, so when I kind of pop this all together and when I put the bottom plate on, everything will kind of look a little nicer. One thing I did discover is you can really hide this cord. You can just sort of stuff it up underneath there. Oh, hidden away. As soon as you want it, you just pull it out. Or you could leave a little bit showing if you didn't want to forget about it. Now these little guys should be put in like this, and you just slide them in there and they'll just fall out like that. But the moment that you lock it in there, it's in there. And then the last one on this side, again, just slide that in. Okay, and the last one is going to be boop right there, and we just pop that sucker in. And it is buttoned up. Everything looks like it's lined up. And the last piece is this little trim piece that goes along the bottom. All right, and this little guy's pretty easy. Just gotta remember that it goes like that, and then literally just sort of pushes down like that, and it's awesome. All right, guys. Hopefully that helped you guys out. Hit me up in the comments if you got any questions. It's pretty straightforward. Hope this was helpful.